is supported in part by an award from the National Endowment for Arts on the web at arts.gov.
My name is Mary Proctor. I was born June 11, 1960 in a little town called Lower Florida.
When Mary first called to do
Yeah,
this,
y'all need to hear this.
I was working at the fire department.
There you go.
And
Come bring that money.
and it was in 94. She probably told you a little bit about this. That was in 94 that she lost her grandmother, uncle, and aunt in a mobile home fire. Her grandmother raised her, and that's who she called Mama. And when this happened and stuff, is in January and February of 95 that she said she went on a fast for 30 days, a half a day each, just praying, seeking God, questioning God, why? And she said on the last day of her fast, while she was sitting up under the tree reading the Bible, she said a light shone from heaven above the brightness of the sun, and a voice spoke out of that light and told her to go about the fence of the building and get this door and paint upon it, and I'll tell you what to put on it. She said she got up immediately, went over by the fence of the building. There was a dough paint and a brush, and she started painting. And she said a voice told her, I'm going to give you words to put on these doors. And one day, these doors will go throughout the whole world, and people going to know that I am.
That I am.
And I'm a living witness. And to this day, I'm still amazed at what God gave her to do.
He came to see all the doors.
Amazed. And then when she told me that God told her to sit the door beside the road.
I sat them beside the road.
I said, God told you that? She said, yeah, you better sit beside the road.
That's how I got it painted. Grandma, she worked it with people and she loved everybody, children, you know. Girl, I mean, I started out, I wish I'd have bought the doors out and the button door. I started off with Grandma Blue Willow, the button door, the penny door, and things like that around me, and that's how I got known as an artist. I wanted to remember, you know, what Grandma said, thank you, be nice, be kind, you know, never forget these things. You can get to education, but if you don't have a good attitude, you can't get nowhere. I wanted to remember all these things what she said. So I started writing them, I started putting on doors. I would hate for that to be one of my pieces there, but I have beautiful blue willow door. I have beautiful penny door. Wait, did you see those out there? You saw those when you came in. The blue willow, the penny store. I started writing little things about her, and then I take the blue willow plate that wasn't no good, and I break them up. And then there I go, I make a story out of it. And I start writing out with Grandma around me still because I can remember what she said. And I had no idea that I found out when I was doing that it became therapy. No longer am I crying about Grandma. No longer am I worried about Grandma like I was like every day I was sitting there crying and moaning about her, and all of a sudden I recognized for the last time I've been painting there was no tears. It something had happened. I didn't know what therapy was, but I would begin because I had a long prayer and I was begin to be relieved out of my stress. So I started in that, and it relieved me. God relieved me to know that she's okay. You can always keep her memory around you. Not the joy. The face is here, but not the joy. Not the joy. Like I'm looking at her, she's just entertaining me right now. Not the joy in her face. Not the joy in her face. Look at her. They joyful around me. They don't show no, if you look at art, you can never, if you was in a room and you live your life with art, you could never see nothing but life because it's the same. We change, I face emotional change, but Dad jumping at me, she don't never change. And I think that joy coming within. You have that joy. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful because they looking at me. And kept reading. And every time that I read about the President of the United States as a person that loved to read the Bible, I thought, these men actually, I got out of all the stuff that I think that could happen. Oh, George Washington did this, George had this slave, and George had that, and all. I got out of that for a moment. And I heard a voice say, only the good, look for the good. I thought, I'm going to look for the good, what George Washington said. I got to look for the good now. Around me was like 5, big cans of bags of Coca-Cola cans. They gave them to me. People gave them to me, and I love Coke, so I was drinking Coke like that too. And they knew I liked to drink, so they gave me the Coke cans, and maybe you could make some out of it. So I got all these bags of Coca-Cola cans, and they sitting around me on the ground everywhere, and I'm sitting in the midst of them. Some guy came along, had 200 doors with a truck. He said, ma'am, I got 200 doors. I give them to you for $1 a door. Doors. This big, these doors, that door like that right there, those doors like that. He wanted to give them, he said, for $1 a piece. Why, I don't have $200 right now. So he said, I'll wait, give them to you. If you can do something with them, I'll give them all to you. Here I am, sitting with 200 doors surround me. Looking up the president quotes. Just looking up the president quote. And everyone I saw, I did not look for bad. I didn't look for evil. I didn't look for murder. I didn't look for slaves. I didn't look for nothing. I was looking because they said some things that was very powerful. They're saying how they, about rights and their political rights and the thing. I said, the president said these things? Family. They talked about family. They talked about children. They talked about leading the nation to be a better place and what could make the nation good. And I started writing. And I wrote down so many. And all of a sudden I looked at the doors. Doors? President? Do you know ain't nobody never seen this here? About what the president actually said? Nobody ever saw that the president actually said that what we should do, how we should live here to make America really a wonderful place for us all. Okay, I'm not thinking, oh, he wasn't talking about me because he wasn't talking about me because I'm a black woman. You hear people say they don't include us. I said, wait a minute, I am America. I'm a United States American. I was born in America. He said for the American, this is the Americans and what they can do. So I started writing down things like that, and all of a sudden my yard, my pad got packed. And then one day I heard a voice say, put them on the door. Put them on the door. Right there and use the Coca-Cola cans. Somebody gave it to you for you to do something good with them. And I laid down, I said, the springtime Tallahassee is coming to town within it could have been a month. I threw a big 2 or 3 big old tables down, laid all them doors on there, put some liquid nails on their face, and from there I cut up Coca-Cola cans. I told the kids, I said, y'all got to help me because I got to get it done because the kids need to see the good things that the president actually said that would make the world, keep the world, and make the world a better place. I just went crazy. Well, I found out the women, you think the president did anything but set their butt up there? Women, you think the president sat there behind them, they try to make politician and all that. The president tried to make all that stuff like that. But who were the backbones? Who was the one went out there and put together things that helped the community? Who was the one had all the time feeding and taking care of? It was the women who fought, and the women that went out there to make sure women have equal rights. It was the women that fought for equal rights. Men did not fight for rights for equal women. Women had done all this hard work. So I thought about, what about the women? Y'all getting all the glory? These women fought the fight. They fought the fight, and they fought it for make sure the children get fed, make sure families have money, things to get to it was the women that did all the fight. And I thought, I'm not going to exclude the women because they had wives that came in there, not all of them, because George Washington, Martha didn't do anything. This is what I kind of looked up. Martha didn't do anything practically with George in there. But Martha went and found her own way of serving the people. She went and found a way to serve the people by helping the soldiers. Martha served the soldiers. So they did find a way. Martha and all the women's out there, most of them had found something, supported their husband, and that's what I thought. They were the backbone and the supporters of the men, so I might as well put them in there and shine and let it shine. That one day we women will be focused on how we can make this world a better place, how a woman can get here and fight for the rights for other women, fight for what's needed to be done to make this world a better place for us all. I'm here to be a helpmate, to show people this is the way to live. Find something good to do. Life will save your life. Put your trust in God, and then and lean not to what your own understanding. I'm in here to show people finding peace is a factor of life. Being peaceful, living peaceful, doing everything you could for your fellow man, that what you could. That's all what God put us on earth for. Be servant to one another. We're here to serve one another. Service is what we do. Whether you cook a cake, whether you bake, whether you dance, whether you paint, whatever you do is just to be a servant to help the next man. We're here to serve one another and on this earth.
And one thing I've learned, that if God has given you something to do,
You gotta
a
do
task, a job, a testimony, you need to speak it. Because every day people pass through our lives, and sometimes we don't know why. But you might have a good word for them. If it lay in your heart to say it, you need to say it. Don't hold back. Let them know.
Yep.
Because that might be their blessing. Because everybody's praying for something. And sometimes people say, I'm sitting there waiting on God. And God sends people by
And it's
every day.
sometimes things you don't want to do. Like you don't think nobody care nothing about it. Like painting them doors. Like, you know. But it's always something seem like when God tell you to do something, guess what?
Yeah.
And this man here has been the minister of my back behind me. I found out that I was on a mission to make the world, heal the world, show the world back to way to peace, love, joy, and happiness. I think that's the main thing. That my work show healing, joy. I would like to tell you that I believe this with all my might.